How you doing, everybody? Today it's Pop Rocks once again. I know last video was really fast. Now I don't want this video to be slow, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit faster than we used to. So we're just going to get right into this video, which is basically just the gender differences in Overwatch heroes and kind of the percentages, because I think it's like cool to talk about that sort of thing in video games to see like what the difference is between who plays it versus the actual game roster. Now, so some quick ground rules. I'm going to do this by all roles, then tank, then DPS, then support. And the categories will start as men, women, non-humans, and then venture because it's funny, and then it'll go men, women, non-binary, and then men and women. And what I mean by that is I don't want to just exclude a couple characters, and I feel like without excluding them, it would just be like, 48% and 51%, or what was it? Is some percent, and then it would just be 6% non-binary, which isn't as interesting for statistics. So I'll just get into the nitty-gritty of that, but I just wanted to state that now before anybody comments on that. So yeah, we're gonna get into it now. Starting with the blanket of the entire roster, we have 45 characters in the roster. We have 17 men, 20 women, 7 non-humans, and 1 whole venture. Then when we condense that once, we have 21 men, 22 women, and 2 non-binary characters. Now, for the men, we obviously have the male characters, including the Omnics that identify as men, which is actually 46% of the roster is men. Then 22, which is including like Echo, Orisa, the other non-human women, we have 48% of the roster being women. Now, the 2 non-binaries is 6%. We have Venture and technically Bastion. Now, when I condense it further, we're going to put Bastion into the male category since that's how the community usually characterizes him, and the characters do use him with a lot of different things, but I figured it should be mentioned that Bastion does, like they've stated, he does go by it/its. So, Bastion is technically, I believe, non-binary, or I guess it would be an object, but I figured I'd just kind of put those together, make it simpler for people. So, we're going to put him with men, and I believe Venture was female at birth. We don't actually know, but that's most people's assumption, so again, simplicity, we're going to go with it. But if we condense it with those two in mind, then it would be 49% men and 51% women. And I think it's just neat to know is how the player base is mostly men, but the roster is actually mostly women. And I just think it's neat to think about. Like, you'll see which category of characters actually has the most percentage of men to women, which some are obvious, some are like, oh yeah, I didn't even kind of realize until somebody pointed it out. So we're going into the certain roles now. So now for the tank role, we have 6 men, 3 women, 4 non-humans, and 0 ventures. Once we condense them once, we have 9 men, which was 70% of the tank roster, 4 women, which is 30% of the roster, and then obviously no non-binaries because there's no ventures, no bastions. So then you have 9 men for 70% of the tank roster and 4 women for 30% of the roster. And I do agree, we do need more female tanks just because, like, D.Va, Zarya, Orisa, Jungle Queen, they're cool, but I would like to see another female tank maybe this year, next year, pretty soon rather than later on. I just think the tank roster specifically could use more women than men in it, but that's my opinion, and some people don't care. I overall don't care about like who goes where, but like if I had to pick, then I would say I would want a female tank next for a tank. Now for the DPS, which the DPS is slightly surprising if you never actually pay attention, really. So we have 7 men, 10 women, 2 non-humans, and 1 venture. Non-humans are Echo, Bastion, Venture's Venture, No Doi, I feel like you would know that. Once we condense the DPS roster at least once, we have 7 men, which is 35% of the DPS roster, 11 women, which is 55% of the DPS roster, and then 2 non-binaries, which is 10% of the DPS roster. Then condensing it further, we have 8 men and 12 women, making it 60% women in the DPS category and 40% men. Now, really interesting thing about that is we have not had a male DPS hero release since launch other than Doomfist. However, Doomfist was moved to tank, so we've basically never had a male DPS added after Doomfist and before Doomfist. Doomfist was the only one, and I just think it's neat to think about because, like, yeah, Vendetta, woman, Venture, female at birth, blah blah blah, etc., etc. It keeps going back and back and back, and I think it's neat to think about. Like, it'd be nice to get another male DPS, and some people would say, oh, there's enough men in the game like I said earlier, there's 51% women. Really, it's tied. Like if let's say we just don't count venture, then it's tied. It would go 50%, 50%, and then I guess venture just doesn't get counted for some fucking reason, which is why I counted venture, because then if I don't count venture and I don't count I would have to not count bastion, and then that leave it at the exact same ratio, just with less number. So literally, it wouldn't matter if I counted them or not. But I figured I'd just count them. So yeah, I think it'd be cool to get a male DPS. Do I think female characters should be added? Yes, of course. Do I think male characters should be added? Yes, of course. But I think we should have women, a couple more women in tank, a couple more men in DPS, and we'll get to support now. Now, the support roster, which like the tank roster, I'm sure you can assume the majority. So for the support roster, we have 4 men, 7 women, 1 non-human, that being Zenyatta, and 0 ventures. We condense it, we have no non-binaries, 5 men, 7 women. I didn't write down the percentages for that one because it's the exact same if we just move it to condensed again, because we ignore the non-binary, being 5 men, 7 women to a 42%, 58% ratio. It's neat. It's really neat to think about. Could we use another man in the support roster, DPS roster? Sure, why not? Another woman, sure, sure, why not? I don't know. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying I think some people don't think about these things, and I feel like it's just neat to think about some stuff. Like, this is trivial. This video genuinely doesn't matter unless you just think about it and you're like, I would like to know the percentages, or like, hey, that's kind of neat to know. You know, I thought it was neat because I was looking and I was like, DPS roster's mostly women, right? And I counted and I was like, yeah, it is. And then I looked at the whole roster, I'm like, shit, with Vendetta, it's no longer 50-50, including Venture Bastion, which even if we don't include, if we just ignore them again, 50-50. But now with Vendetta, it's actually 49-51, which is pretty neat. And I think people don't give the Overwatch team enough credit for how balanced the roster is, at least when it comes to men and women. And now if we get into the territory of non-humans, yeah, we only have 7 non-humans. Do I think we could use some more? Yes, absolutely. Give me like 3 more in the next 5 years. Chef's kiss. You know, that'd be great. Get us a good 10 of them. That'd be nice. That'd be sweet. But overall, I feel like people just don't give them enough credit for the split of men and women in this roster. And yeah, that's about all I got on this video. This is just to be educational. It's really trivial. And if you don't, if you didn't care, oh well. But if you liked it, I would really appreciate if you would like, comment, subscribe, as it helps the channel, gets me in the algorithm, all that stuff. We're almost at 100, so who knows? Maybe you could be at my 100th subscriber. I'll call you out. You know, if I get to 100 subscribers this year, like even before, let's say September, I'll go through and count every single subscriber I can. So anybody who has it privated, if you want, make it public, and I'll count the first 100 subscribers I have. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.